Did Diddy and his lawyers just lie in court during an emergency hearing? Looks that way. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and my goodness, yesterday we were all talking about, and many of us were worried that, yeah, they were saying that the lawyers on the government side were seizing privileged property. The feds are lying. They took my notes. And during that hearing, which we reported on, you can go check out yesterday's video to hear the thread. They said they took it from a legal pad that literally said legal on it. Diddy's lawyer handed it to the judge and said, "No, Your Honor, this is what they took." And the judge was shocked, as were others, of like, well, this ain't good. Now, today, the judge has issued a letter to the court. In this letter to the court, let's read this because, in his November 19th letter to the court, defendant says the government investigator took photographs of several items, including intact pages from two different legal pads and ripped out pages in other legal pads. The letter also described the legal pads in detail and argued that they were privileged in part because of on top of his legal pads and notes, defendant had a folder marked legal, which put anyone on notice that everything along with the folder marked legal is attorney-client. In the hearing, defense counsel presented the court with an intact legal pad with legal written on the binding, stating that the legal label on this and the other pads showed that they were clearly protected by attorney-client privilege and should not be in the government's possession. Court notes the sealed exhibit in the brief includes photographs of two intact legal pads taken at the time of the sweep. There is no writing on the binding of either pad at the scheduled hearing on February, November, the one that's coming up. Thank you. Defense counsel should be prepared to give the court further context on the legal label that the court was presented with on November 19th, which was yesterday, and then a hearing and address why this label doesn't appear on the photographs in the court's possession and why it wasn't addressed in defendant's submission to the court made a few hours before the hearing. So basically the judge is like, yo, dudes, you just got caught. You were in a courtroom showing me that, no, Your Honor, look, here's what they took it with the words legal on it. This isn't okay. And the judge took it seriously. The judge said, okay, well, yeah, this isn't okay. You guys can't use any of these images, I'm going to look into this further. He then clearly has now spent more time, emergency hearing time, to look at all this. And it turns out the photos aren't of the legal pads that they said. They weren't actually legal pads. Now, again, implying Diddy and his team were totally just making this up and trying to make it so any notes that were taken that clearly weren't legal notes are now being labeled as legal notes. But I sense that's still what Diddy's team's going to try to argue, because as it says in this, they took photographs from legal pads, ripped out pages. The legal pads were privileged because on top of his legal pads and notes has a folder marked legal, which put anyone on notice that everything along with the folder is attorney-client. Now, that's where things are going to get more the semantics of, is it labeled legal if it's under a folder that's labeled legal? Sure. Was there, though, a photo that was labeled legal on top of these actual notepads? That's what this is all going to come down to. Were they allowed to actually check this? And look, it's a smart move on Diddy's team to try to finagle this. At the same time, it's going to do even further damage to his already damaged credibility, with the lawyer out there saying it's about the baby oil came from Costco. Everyone's racist against him. Oh, I didn't hurt Cassie. The amount of lies that have come out from Diddy have just made him completely unreliable at all. You can't believe a word this man's saying. So to now see that the judge is now learning in real time during emergency hearings that he's taking time out to do that's a big deal to learn. Oh, no, they weren't actually legal pads. It looks like these were just regular pads with to-do lists. Now, in the hearing, to be fair to both sides, it does seem like he's been caught lying, because he definitely, the lawyer implied to say the pads they took said legal on them. And now the judge is like, that's false. And the government, prosecution said the same thing. They said, well, these are to-do lists. Diddy's lawyer, though, did try to argue, well, anything on his to-do list is still things that have to do with asking me, witnesses he has questions about or wants to talk to, yada, yada, yada. He's allowed to do those things. Diddy is allowed to do some of those things through lawyers, etc. That's all part of the investigation, if he does it properly and not intimidating or bribing, which is the other problem Diddy's doing. But mind you, his notes should be privilege. So this argument that Diddy's team's making is clearly about his semantics. It does feel a little bit more shady. Surprise, surprise. It does feel like Diddy's team's trying to make it so any note written in that prison cell is clearly attorney-client privilege. Now, is the judge going to agree with that? If there is a system in place where he's got to mark his legal notes legal, and he knows that, that changes this tremendously, because it's like, well, no, mark your legal pads legal. If you're writing legal notes, you have to write it in the legal pad. There's a whole process. You put it in a legal envelope. You put it in a legal this. Those legal things can't be looked at. Respect. That's how it should go. But if Diddy's now trying to claim, well, no, all my legal pads are legal. Yeah, I know we told you it was legal, but, you know, it's still a legal pad. So technically, isn't that legal, Judge? That's what this is turning into. But I don't know about you. Most legal pads don't say the word legal on them. And if he has them that say legal, you'd think you'd put your legal notes on those pads. So I know this semantic argument is frustrating. All that said, another one has come in where he's, regardless of all this, he is saying it very clearly that these photos that were taken at the ruling, here it is. Let's see here. For the reasons stated in the hearing held on November 19th, the government must immediately delete the photographs issued pending the court's ruling on whether they are covered by attorney privilege. The government should confirm or believe or before, tomorrow, that the notes have been deleted. Based on the government's representation, the filter team has no involvement in either the grand jury investigation. The filter team may retain copies of the photographs, but may not provide them to anyone else. So basically the judge is like, look, your filter team, which is supposed to figure out what's privilege and what's not, who's not supposed to be involved, and we got to believe that they're not. That's, how do you really check that is my question, but still, they're allowed to have a copy, but everyone else now must delete it. There can be no record of these photos while we sort this out. Eliminate them. Don't risk it. We got to lose it. And so that's what's happening. Briefing on defendant's application will follow the scheduled brief to be filed on the 4th, yada, yada, the 9th. There's a bunch of dates here that are happening. The reply brief is now due, so ordered. So that's where he came in. But this is the one that's more telling, because it does seem to imply the judge is confused. And the judge is making it clear he's confused. And the judge is making it clear, yo, Diddy and team, you got some splaining to do. What are you talking about? You showed me in court a legal pad that said legal, and you said that's what was taken. Now we're finding out it's not. Things are definitely about to get spicy. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for alerts, smash that like button, and leave your comments down below. We got a lot more coming. I know I keep teasing this Precious Muir video. Stay tuned. As soon as there's not breaking news, it's going to be dropped. I hope later today or tomorrow. Check it. She reveals a lot, and I want you guys to hear her. We also got our live feed tomorrow. Our live feed tomorrow is going to be fire. Make sure you join it. It's going to be whether he gets bail or not, guys. Is he going to get bail? Stay tuned and find out.